South Africa's top 25 pupils for 29 Matric academic year will be awarded achievement certificates at a special ceremony on Tuesday when the top results are announced. The countdown to the annual Matric results release has begun. The Independent Examination Board results will become available from midnight on Tuesday. The National Senior Certificate candidates will have to wait until the 8th of January for their results. A Basic Education Minister, Andrew Mugwena, will announce the national Matric pass rate on Tuesday evening. Last year, the department announced that the 2018 Matric cohort achieved a pass mark of 78%. Joining me in studio is General Secretary of the South African Democratic National Teachers Union, Mugwena Maluleke. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for having us today.
We've seen the teacher union perhaps issue a statement to say that you're somewhat confident of the results that are, set to be released come Tuesday and Wednesday. What factors should we be considering ahead of these results?
Well, why we are confident of the increase in terms of the quality of the results is the work that we have seen being done by our teachers and parents, in particular in those low-fee school or no-fee schools in the rural areas where they use their weekends to sleep over as parents and teachers to teach the grade 12, as well as the camp that have been conducted by the department in various provinces. So we have also seen less incidents in 2019 as it relates to disruptions, except the violence that was taking place in our schools, but there were no disruption that would have impacted negatively on the learning process.
I was reading about SADC, which is the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, and they attribute around 9.5% of teen deaths to, the release of Matric results. In lieu of this, what are some of the plans or support mechanisms that you put in place to ensure that learners and families are supported as the results are released, whether they achieve the results they aim to or not?
Well, as part of our continuous program as an organization in the Department of Education is to provide those who shall have not been able to succeed in their grade 12 to have to enroll again in centers that have been put in place to help them. And therefore we can advise the parents and the learners who have not made it to use those particular centers, where we'll also be demanding more support in terms of the teachers to be provided for the students to be able to complete those particular subjects. They will be writing supplementary examination, or if they are repeating.
And do we know when this will be happening and also where those centers will be availed?
The centers will be announced on Wednesday. As soon as they receive their results at the level of the schools, the principals at the schools and the teachers will be there, will then be giving them the full details of exactly where will be these particular centers that will be helping our parents and our learners.
Okay. Mr. Maluleke, what about the psychological support? Yes, it is great that there are supplementary examinations available and those options exist, but holistically, there's a psychological issue that also, seems to be perpetuated, especially under extreme stress. Matric results are no joke.
Well, the Matric results have been very stressful, I must say.
Yeah.
And we need to make it much easier by looking at the foundation phase so that we no longer have problems around whether we are ready or not ready. So Elena should be saying, look, I have passed. The only thing I'm worried about is that what are the results. So psychosocial services are very, very, very important. And in September, we were able to show that the department doesn't have that services because out of 12 million learners, we have only 1,500 of professionals, and clearly 70,000 per professional to be able to help such students. So we'll then be tomorrow and Wednesday be calling upon the department and the districts in particular to ensure that those that needs the services are able to access the services, because it's going to be very important for the parents to also look at the signs of anxiety from their children and begin to engage them and not really put more pressure on their children, because nothing can change if you did not make it. Second chances there in life, and therefore there's no need to think negative thoughts are not going to help. So yes, We need
so is there an active plan in place, or is that still an ongoing?
It's always been there. That immediately after the release of the results, the principals will refer the student to what we call SBT, and then they will then be able to refer the learners to the centers for remedial as well as psychosocial assistance.
I'm looking at the results that will be released, and perhaps just some of the benchmarks for the pass marks that will be availed. What is the minimum pass mark, and etc.? And I'm looking at the results that will be released. I mean, what does this then reflect or mean for universities at large?
Well, South Africa is not the only country where you have got to acquire a particular percentage for you to be registered at the level of the universities. So if universities set their own standards, then they will be saying for this particular faculty, if you want to follow this career, you need to be obtaining 60% and so forth. So if generally we're looking at the 30% pass in terms of subjects. But that is to take into account that not each and every learner will perform the same way, and they would want to be at the universities. So that's why we have got our technical and vocational colleges in the country to take care of learners that may not proceed for academic purposes at the universities. And therefore, I need to always talk about this pass rate and say, look, during the apartheid era, we used to have 27% as a high-grade pass mark, and therefore improving from 30% to 40%, the country is making some strides in improving the quality of education. We will, in time, be able to reach 50%, 60% pass rate as a requirement.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you, I mean, in essence, what does that reflect about the critical skills or the actual knowledge that students have garnered by sitting and writing these matric results? You know, many people obviously still questioning the effectiveness of that as opposed to just achieving the pass mark.
Well, we need to go into details and say, when you say 30%, in actual fact, what are you looking at in terms of English or in terms of mathematics and so forth? So each and every subject has got proficiency levels for each and every learner to be able to say, if I have obtained 30%, this is the level at where I am. This is what I'm able to apply. This is what I'm able to do. So it is not like you have an empty certificate that will not help you with anything, because it's the proficiency level. So if it's 30%, is proficiency level number 3. Rarely in the world where you have got learners who have got proficiency level 6. Everywhere else where you have that kind of an education system.
But, you know, just as we attend or as we open up the 2020 academic year and looking back at the 2019 year, if I'm correct, there was about 700,000 matriculants that sat down for that 2019 period. I mean, what lessons have been garnered and where to from here?
First things first, let's go back to the basics. Let's ensure that we invest more time, more resources in our foundation phase. And not only that, we need to also go back to the NDP. Must be prepared for education, and therefore we need to put more resources, more attention to that, so that we provide our learners with numeracy and literacy at the right time, at the right skills level, so that we don't have to be worried about matric again. So that's what we need to do. But secondly, is to professionalize the profession, provide an environment that is conducive for learning, which is safe for our children and safe for our parents and our teachers in the schools, because if they work in an environment where they are worried, clearly is that they can achieve less than what we would expect them to achieve.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, Mugwena Maluleke, General Secretary of the Southern African, of SATU rather, just chatting to us about the Teachers Union, about the expectations ahead of the matric results that will be released come the 7th and the 8th of January. And of course, just some of the psychological support that is available for students upon the release of those results.